Hey everybody, it's me again, Zikri Khalil. Welcome to another show of It Matters. You are now live, and I hope this time I turned on my mic because last time I forgot. But this time around, I'm sure I've made sure all the checklists are done. And as you can see, I'm a different spot than previously because I hope the background matches the theme of today's topic. And since we're discussing about something that really, really touches many people's hearts and the things that we have been going through for the past 2, 3 years, I thought it would be a very befitting way to bring these two amazing, I would say Wonder Woman in some ways, at the same time, champions of what they're doing and advocating and working on. And it's always great to have someone of influence to be able to share their thoughts and their processes on how this would stream out. So I would love to give all of you, well, ask you all to give a round of applause and invite with a tupukan yang gemuruh to Madiha Fuad, who is the CEO and founder of PlusVibes, and our favorite Malaysian host and actress, Adriana Adnan. Welcome to the show, ladies. How are you all doing?
Hello, I'm good. Alhamdulillah.
I'm good. I'm good. Excited to be part of the show.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. And to be frankly speaking, this is a very exciting day because this is a topic that I think a lot of us would have it close to our hearts. I can even share my own experience because not just about pandemic, of course, but many things. And I think right before the show, I initially really wanted Miss Adriana to join us, and I believe you mentioned that the closest topic that touches you the most is mental health. And I think at the same time we were already talking to Madiha, who runs an amazing um, uh, tech platform that tackles this specific problem. I'm not sure. Have you heard of PlusVibes before, Adriana? Or
Yes, I did. I saw Plus Vibes on Instagram ads, and some of my friends, actually, one of their clients or customers. Yeah.
oh, okay. So that's good. That's good. So before I go to Madiha, all right, because Madiha, I see her as to some extent an expert, a guru, the one who's been how do you say, has deepened herself into the topic. I'd like to understand more from your perspective, Adriana. Being, you're now in the, you're acting, you're hosting, you're always posting, trying to give a certain specific content to help fellow Malaysians and other followers to see the bright side of being on the face of either products or TV shows and whatnot. But on the other side of that coin, something that maybe not many people talk about, is there a specific thing that you would like to share from your side, being an influencer, number one? Um, has it also affect you throughout this journey as becoming who you are now, the past few years, um, especially on your mental health? Because I think the stigma that we hear as the public, if you look at Hollywood Access or I don't know, like Cherika, that Nona magazine, I don't know, all these tabloids, they always have this way of stigmatizing celebrities, actresses, with all kind of stuff. And I know you have to get all of this shit all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
what do you
Yeah.
do? How do you deal with it? Was there a point where you had to really address this problem that was gonna harm you mentally? I think that's what a lot of us would like to know, even as the from a normal human perspective.
All right. Thank you so much, Zikri, for having me. Well, I've been in this industry for since I was 20. So now I'm 28. So it has been almost 8 years now. Like as for me, of course, I wouldn't say that it's all butterflies and rainbows and it's colorful. I have dealt with some challenges as well as a public figure, because as a public figure, as a host, as an actress, content creator, and now with the social media, everybody can access into your life easily with just like one click, with just like scrolling on your profile, and they thought like they already know your whole life. So I that's why I don't usually share too much on my Instagram. I just share not just in the Instagram but on all of my social media platform, TikTok or Twitter, Facebook. Like it has been a long time. I've never touched that application, but yeah, I only show them whatever that I need to show or I want to show, so that it won't affect my life so much. Because I used to share a lot, like so many things, including my private life, and somehow people thought they know me 100%. But actually, I'm just like a normal human being, just like everybody out there. It's just that my career may be different than their career or their life, because my everything is accessible. Like people can see me on television or on social media platform. So
Mm.
it's like they all the netizens, not all, some of them think like they have the power towards me or towards my life. So it kind of like not safe for your well-being and mental health. So I just show them whatever I want to show. And if I got like bad comments or
Right.
all this nonsense, toxic or negative feedbacks from my followers, which rare, which rarely I receive, thank God. But I would just like ignore or simply block them, like as simple as that. Just delete, block, and poof, they're out of my life. So that's how I um, cope with
Wow.
whatever is going on social media, because I understand like social media people will say like mm, there's a like pros and cons of having a social media platform. Yes, you want to connect with everybody, you want to connect with your followers, and in terms of my career, it's part of like the one of the things that you need to have as an actor, as a host, because you want to connect with them and to have that platform to talk to them and to have some feedbacks. So yeah, um, I also de- have to deal with all of this nonsense once in a while.
Wow. I mean, I think there's a lot of the points that you made. A lot of I think I can also relate. But how would you? That's the question, like why do we have people online that likes
Mm-hmm.
to harass just for the sake of um, I guess attention or
Yeah.
really you have sometimes I mean I'm not trying to um, how do you say I'm not trying to bong down on these people. I'm sure there's a trigger of them to do so.
Yeah.
So I was hoping maybe Madiha could add on to that. Why, why especially women. Because we know how evil social media can be when you use it for evilness or for your own pleasure. Why do we have people like that that behaves as such? And are they going through some kind of mental issue that they probably do not know about or whatnot? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know you're on the technology side, but I'm sure there's some stats or some facts that you could teach us, for me and Adriana here and our viewers, on where does this come from? Is that all right with you, Madia?
Sure, of course, definitely, Zikri. A pleasure to meet you, Adriana. And I know it's not easy being an influencer simply because you're an open book, right? Everything you share, everything you do, I would say it's always being monitored. And that would put high pressure on any individual, be it corporate, be it in the media industry. But to answer your question, Zikri, on why people do this, why people prefer to, I don't know, maybe leave nasty comments, negative comments, or impose on other people's life. Honestly, I'm not sure why. But to an extent of why, if Does it make them feel better? Perhaps. Or do they have perhaps confidence, self-esteem, or concerns, or some sort of underlying issues? Maybe, even so. And perhaps taking it out. I think I read this quote somewhere that if somebody says something nasty to you, there's nothing wrong with you, actually. Perhaps it's just them wanting to let out all those negative emotions that's within them, and they just happen to take it out on you. So there is that kind of, I would say, concept whereby people just feel that need to let it out, and perhaps you were just the target at that moment in time. I think this often happens. This happens quite a lot, and celebrities take a lot of that backlash because of that. Whether they do something right, it's still wrong. Whether they do something wrong, it's even more wrong. And that's why you see a lot of these celebrities having mental health challenges, because it is unfair for them. They are humans, and they have feelings too. But I think the mass public expect them to be perfect, and that's where the challenge is, right?
Yes, I agree with you. Sometimes they you call this alienate you, like you're like an alien, like they're humans. Like we have to be perfect all the time. We cannot do mistakes. We cannot dance a certain way, we cannot talk a certain way, we cannot wear a certain way just because you're a public figure. And I think it's unhealthy to think that way. And we have to educate everybody's out there that we are all humans. It's just the difference are maybe the path that we take, like the career that are doing. Like you may be an accountant or an engineer or a doctor, but I'm a celebrity, I'm an actress. But it's the same thing. We go out and work, we receive salary, and we also have family. We eat like a normal human being, we go to normal places. So they shouldn't alienate us simply because we are on TV or on social media platform and have like so many followers.
I think the crux of it also, Zikri, is that social media really allows people to have access to an individual's life,
Right.
and they feel like they know you even though they don't. So they only see what you post, and they feel like, oh, okay, actually, I know this person. So when that person does something that's not expected, it's like, wait a minute, this is not the person. So that's where social media plays a big role in, mental health, in social influence, and that's where you see a lot of youths right now are facing mental health concerns, depression, anxiety, because they tend to compare their lives to others.
And having said that, for you, Adriana, was there a time where you were looking for self acceptance, just because of how people, because the sometimes what in the like you are what you are because of your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So and we can make a choice whether we want to be with these people or not, whether they're good for you in the future or not. Now on the bigger stage, it's not just the people around; it's also these fan base, and I do
Mm-hmm.
not know what extent or how difficult it can be, because I do not know what it's like. But because we only know what we see on tabloids or from stories. Now, and I'm sure there were in the phase of your rise, there's a point where you should I just be what the people are telling you to be, just like you were just mentioned, or just be myself and don't really care what people say, even though it will jeopardize my potential, I don't know, opportunity or whatnot. Now that particular phase, this whole transitioning, was that really hard on you mentally? Because it's so cliche how I say it, but bluntly saying, it's gonna kind of affect on how you find yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a book I read, I can't remember what's it called. That when you're such a good actor, you lose yourself. When you lose yourself, you just don't know who your identity is, because you've been following, like the manual of what the people are saying. How was
Yeah.
that for like
Okay. So
story time?
from whatever you're saying just now, there's like two questions that I need to clarify. Yeah, the
Okay.
first one is how people's expectation towards me, like how whether I'm gonna follow whatever they want me to be or if I'm just gonna be myself. Well, of course, I will always and I hope forever to choose being myself, because being an actor is tiring enough to carry somebody's character, to playing somebody's life. So I wouldn't want to play other character in my own life. So I would like genuinely want me, Adriana, as myself in my own life, and I would always choose to be myself, no matter whatever people want to say. But as long as I'm following the right path, I'm not doing like I'm not giving um, negative vibes or negative influence to people out there. And to keep me grounded, I always believe with having childhood friends. Like, as for me, my friends since I was standard three, and my friends since I was standard form one are still around me until now and hopefully forever. So they actually kept me grounded, like, because of course I have all those celebrities friends as well, but they I only see them maybe at the events, or sometimes some of them I got like really close. But I always kept myself grounded with my family, my home, and my childhood friends. Yeah, so I always choose to just be myself, and if people don't like me for who I am, I will just ignore them, because they don't live my life. They don't know whatever happens in my life. They cannot control me. So that's how I teach my brain to think. And the other one is, what was it? As an actor, okay, as an
As an
actor,
actor,
how
yeah.
do you like actually separate yourself? Sometimes you can lose yourself. Yes, I admit I have experienced that when I was when I was acting for this one project for a view. That one series I had to play 8 characters, so 8 different characters in one drama, 10 episodes. So I kind of lost myself a bit, because I don't know which one I am now, because I'm into that characters so much and I want it to be perfect. I want it to be as real as possible, because in acting you're not actually, you don't want to look like you're acting. You have to
Correct.
look real, right? So that it's believable, and people would be convinced that, oh, she is that character, right? She is not Adriana in that movie. She is Nina, or she is Abu, or she is Ali. So, but what I did was, and I'm still practicing right now, whenever I finish one project, I will take a break and I will go for a holiday. I will go to the beach, or take a short getaway or staycation, just to let out the characters, or let out whatever that I've been putting on my brain for the project, and do things that are close to me. Like, I will start working out again. I will see my family, talk to my husband, and then I will, yeah, the short getaway is very helpful, because, you do all the that is close to you, um, and you see a new environment instead of like being on set with all the production team. Yeah, that's how I have to release the characters, because somehow sometimes it can, like, I can bring that
Yeah, you
character
can.
home. Yeah, and it will
Yeah.
be a fight. So I have to leave it out. Okay.
I'm sure it has happened once or twice, but I think the way how you managing is yeah, quite useful. And speaking of that, I was gonna ask on Madiha actually, because um, I did a bit of reading, and I was trying to understand, um, where did the passion come from your side to pursue on, I guess, prevention is the best cure, they say. And here comes this amazing initiative called PlusVibes, an app that is tackling that problem. Now, where did that passion come from, and how are you focusing on technology, to utilize this holistically, to really help those that are having similar issues that Adriana may face, or even worse. And I think my other question is, can you share some chronic stats that we should take this more seriously, because everyone knows about the whole, mental health that kind of blew out of proportion during the pandemic. But I don't think it was just from there. I think there was a huge build up, perhaps. And now we're in 2023, and whatnot. I love it if you could shed some, enlighten us with that. Of course, there's like two, three questions in one go. So I wish you all the best, Madiha.
No worries. So first of all, I wasn't as mentally resilient as Adriana here, and I just like to applaud her that definitely the steps that she takes to be mentally resilient is key. What she does is she grounds herself, she gets in touch with nature, she has that support system. Those are very key concepts in order to really, be mentally resilient, have that kind of strength to pick up whenever you fall down, to get away from all the negative vibes. I think that's very key, and that's not something that I did before. I think my story on why plus vibes was, as the name goes, positive vibes. I wasn't so lucky in the sense that I was in an accident and I suffered a nerve damage. And that nerve damage left me immobile. I couldn't move my right arm. Lucky, I'm a lefty, so I couldn't move my right arm. And I think at that point was when I was wondering, okay, how can I reach out for help? I can't even move out of the house. And being an entrepreneur, I think for the past 10 years now, automatically you'll think of a solution. Do or die, you have to think of how you're going to overcome the situation. And you don't want to be bogged down by what happened, because every single chapter in your life is a phase. It's a matter of whether you learn from it or not, because everything happens for a reason. And I honestly believe that. So for me, it was a matter of, okay, this happened in my life. What am I going to do about it? What can I do about it? And who's going to help me? So when we first launched, it was in 2020, right at the peak of COVID. And that was when I had difficulty going to the hospital too to get treatment for my arm. I was on painkillers. I constantly had panic attacks, hyperventilation. I think that's when I really, for the first time, felt what it was like to be mentally challenged. And that's where we were thinking, okay, let's do something about it. Let's try to perhaps get volunteers. We started off with volunteers, mental health counselors, professionals, specialists who wanted to volunteer and, provide that support and motivation on the mobile app. And surprisingly, alhamdulillah, we got so many people who wanted to support. 3 years down the road now, we have supported 40,000 people across Malaysia. We've assisted individuals with suicide ideation, whereby I think about 900 of them went through our sessions. You can see here that basically the talk to someone feature is where you just click it and then you, within 2 minutes, get connected to a specialist, a viber. We call them vibers because, we want to destigmatize mental health and make it like, vibers, someone who shares their vibes with you, but they have the relevant background and the necessary background. So I think that was the crux of it. And we grew. Simply because there is that need for accessibility. This year, what we're doing is we're expanding to onboard mental health centers and professionals across Malaysia. So it's really consolidating all that resources and all the untapped resources to the demand, because there is a demand. I think as of 2.5 years now, we've received 47,000 session requests. But due to limited capabilities, still growing, still trying to onboard more professionals, we've only been able to conduct 18,000 sessions, 45-minute sessions. But inshallah, we'll continue to grow. Of course, yeah, as you can see here, prevention is better than cure. I think I reached the point where, I was at the lowest point in my life and I didn't know what to do. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? And I was lucky at that time because I had that support system. Although I wasn't comfortable in sharing what I was going through, although being in that vulnerable state is not easy for you to open up, but I think it's a matter of take that chance, talk to someone, share, let it out, and then you will see how it really does make a difference in your life. So I think that's the crux of it, on why, how it's grown, and why it's so important to reach out for help when you feel like, you feel uncomfortable, you feel like you can't sleep. I think the first step to depression is negative thinking. So when you look at yourself in the mirror and you already don't like who you are, that's
Yeah.
when it's a risk, right? And then you stop. The second part is stop doing what you love. So, for example, before you like to socialize, before you like to go to cafes, movies, you like to play sports, and suddenly, oh no, it's okay, you avoid them because you have this internal conflict within you. So I think try to identify that first and always, always reach out for support. Um, I think more often than not, when you share your problems with someone, they will help you. If you don't have that platform, that safe space, then of course, share with us. It's anonymous. You can create a new email address, share your heart out. And then when you end the chat, completely delete it. We don't save or back up any of those.
I mean, that was very well conversed on your side, Maliha. I think I grasped a lot of. I did not know that your story was also quite near. Yeah, you could say near death experience or being, losing a limb is. I know a few soldiers who in the U.S. Yeah, I mean, look, I lost my hair. This is my story. I lost all
But
my
how's
hair.
your hand now? Is it okay? Like
Okay,
fully recovered?
it's okay. I can move it, but I can't lift weights. And when I do, or when I raise it above the 90-degree angle, my scalp pops out.
Ooh.
Oh.
I know I'm supposed to go to physio, but I don't simply because it's still the memory of the trauma is within your body, so I will automatically cry.
Oh,
And then when you
wow.
you can't go through that whole physiotherapy, right? You can't build your
Yeah.
muscle back. So I think it's still a learning process for me as well. It's not a one quick solution type of concept. Mental health is
Okay.
something that is developed, and it takes time.
But does that mean you're also going through therapy before you would want to?
True, yes. Going to therapy, talking to, I think what I'm lucky is that I have a group of, I think, 200 psychologists, psychiatrists, clinical psychiatrists, where I can bounce off ideas, I can share my experience. I think the main point is to avoid what triggers you, and then you can build. But if you're constantly triggered or reminded of what's happened, that's hard then. It's hard for you to grow.
Actually, that's very true. Like, I mean, I'm just speaking about personal experience. Like, everyone has limbs. Me growing up, my hair was my limb. So not having that hair was very hard. And that's what triggers me is when people say, "Oh, you're bald," and it was very hard to swallow. And I think as a man, you can't really show weakness. So it was definitely difficult, different kind of journey, I would say. But over time, you just kind of appreciate, like, it's just hair. I still can see, I still can smell, I can hear, I have my limbs, I can walk. I
And
have
you've
a
grown confident from it, right?
Yeah. So when you scale it down like that, it just makes it, oh, okay, I can live with that, like, and of course it's different with other people because it takes quite of an experience to kind of like really grasp the whole situation and trying to tell yourself, what, it's just for me as a man, at least I'm providing, bald is kind of sexy these days also, so that kind of plays a bit, but most importantly is trying to be, I guess, grateful that the what you need is still there. You know. But speaking of that, we have a lot of comments. None of you have been seeing it. Someone by the name of MK. Okay, Miritoji. Dennis Miritoji says, "Hi Zikri, hi Adriana, hi Madiha." I guess I'm not sure they're fans of yours, but another person, MK, says, "Anonymity empowers people to be more forthcoming." especially when they think they can't be accountable for their words and actions. Very, very true. I think I relate to that. I'm sure the both of you do. But there's this question from Eric to you, Madiha. I think he's asking, Madiha, everywhere around the world, we are seeing mental health problems explode since the government lockdown, especially amongst youth more and more. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, so he wants your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this, Madiha, if you want to share, of course?
It's true, and I think the crux of it is because of social isolation. I mean, if you look back, the mental health, social interaction is key in mental health. Why? It boosts your self-esteem. It gives you that self-confidence. You're able to exchange experiences and knowledge. So with the lockdown, what happened was everyone, I think during that phase, a lot of people graduated the degree and diploma and their academic backgrounds during lockdown. So they basically went through their whole university stage um, socially isolated. And that's when you don't grasp the communication skills, you don't grasp the interpersonal skills. And that's where you will have mental health concerns or challenges whereby you feel not connected to society. And then when you do enter the workforce, when you do enter, the working world, you'll become culture shock and say, I think on the mobile app, one example is that this student graduated top of the class. But this was during COVID, right? Top of the class, perfectly academically perfect results. But when they enter the workforce, little did they know that that's not the only thing that plays a role. Your interpersonal skills, communication, team building, how you interact with other people, your ability to collaborate, all plays a role, of which it was very hard to learn during the pandemic. And that's where they become so morally disheartened. The fact, demotivated that, I'm not good enough. Why am I not good enough? And that's where you see the turnover. I think globally, not just in Malaysia, you will see graduates come in, when they feel challenged, when they feel like they can't cope in that environment, they'll resign. But the key here is that you need to provide that mental support, the motivation, the support that, hey, come on, you can do this. Here are some techniques, here are some strategies that you can do to become mentally resilient. And I think I want to touch on also the comment by MK in terms of anonymity, empowering people to become more forthcoming. It's true. And that's the same on the app as well. The reason why people are on the app itself is because it's anonymous. They can truly share what's on their mind. Say if it was physical, I think even traditionally why mental health solutions never picked up before was because it was physical. People felt embarrassed to go to a mental health center and to confront their issues. But when it's on the app, when it's virtual, you just feel comfortable because it's anonymous. You're within your own space, right? So I think those are the two main issues. But definitely youth mental health is becoming really alarming, especially among high school students. I'm not sure globally, but in Malaysia, out of the 2,000 suicide cases, 1,200 were all those aged 16 to 18 years old. 1,000, that's an 81% increase from year by year since COVID. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask, now that we're touching on things that exploded during COVID, for you, Adriana, have you had your own followers randomly texting you or telling you that they're not feeling well because they look up to you,
Mhm.
and has it ever occurred to you during this time when people were going through rough, rough moments, just like exactly how Madi has explained, and sometimes people are looking for comfort, and there are those who either they worship you or they look up to you because you do give some kind of hope and kindness and happiness and content. Has that ever occurred to you during the time when you had your followers talking to you just for the sake of finding comfort or just having random conversation? Or
Um, Usually, some of them will DM me and say, "Oh, thank you so much for sharing this." Or whenever I go to, like, all those Korean concerts, or whenever I got to meet all
Huh.
the Korean stars, or whenever I got to meet some of their favorite celebrities. And I would like document them and put on my IG story or my feed. So they will DM me and say, "Thank you so much for sharing. Oh, it's like I'm there virtually. Oh, you made my day." And sometimes I just like to share my whenever I go for my workout routine, like I go to like cycle, Pilates, or Muay Thai, and I do it.
Mhm.
I try to do it consistently, and that's why sometimes I would just like post a picture that okay, I'm done with this workout or I'm about to do it. Just it's actually for myself, but somehow it motivates other people to actually start to doing exercises as well. So yeah, it's something that is unplanned. Like it's just out of my um, day-to-day sharings, but people take some comfort or can find some comfort in my postings, and that's why I don't share so much on like if I'm having a bad day, or 2 days ago somebody uh, like pancitkan my taya, but people don't know about it, or somebody say like DM me a lot of vulgar DM, but I don't share because I don't want to, because I know that people go to my platform for inspiration or to motivate them like for some positivity. So that's why I only share whatever that I want to share, and I think that would benefit others. Yeah.
Okay, that's no. I mean, it's good, because I mean, everyone is looking for that avenue during that time. I think I was also like that. Trying to talk to even my neighbor. Funny thing is, me and my neighbor would always have shisha nights right outside of our gate and just do a neighborhood watch, even though you're not supposed to go out, right? But that alone, like just like Mandiha was saying, social interaction is a
Yeah,
way to
actually
mental
during
health.
the pandemic I watched a lot of movies, and I actually like somehow unexpectedly become like a movie reviewer where I would review all the movies or all the series that I watch, and people would take that recommendation and also watch them together. So yeah.
I mean, a lot of people became something. Yeah. Oh, what did we're gonna take a quick 3 minute, sorry, 2 minute break. What that means is we're just gonna recollect ourselves, and I'm gonna play a few commercials. I've never done this before in a live stream until this season, so I hope you won't get so. Yeah, just hang on there. I'm gonna play some videos, and then we'll be right back in 2 minutes. So here we go. Thank you so much. That was a very quick break. And for those who are at home, if you notice, if you're watching, there's literally a donate button somewhere down. Oh, you come. I think it's here, right here. If you go down here, there's a donate button, and all donations are going to the supporting the Plus Vibes movement. So feel free to donate if you can support for helping those who are really, there's no medicine for this. It's a lot of how do you want to say, we'll find out lah, like how the problem lies with getting it resolved through interacting with people who can help you. So and again, I think I didn't had the chance to touch on the potential of this technology app that you built, Madiha. And I was wondering if you shared me with a few stats, and I was hoping to get your clarification how these stats are reflected of today's statistics, and how is this tech platform that you've launched with thousands of users addressing them. So I'm going to go one by one. I'm going to let me see. Let's open with this one first. So can you see this, and can you say something on this? Oops.
In Malaysia. Oh,
Sorry. I'm trying to get the hang out of this. Okay. Anyways, okay.
um,
There we go.
we might
Yeah,
need to.
I am not sure what's going on because I'm trying to fix it. But anyways, you've seen the stats, right? So, you can see right here, 86 million people. And
Yeah.
this is mainly about students, isn't it?
Yep. So I think, but the issue of mental health isn't new. In 2016, it was already widely known that suicide was, I would say, the second largest cause of death after heart attack. And then you see now that a third of Malaysians are going through depression, anxiety, and that's basically 1 in 5 adults. For students, it's 1 in 3 youths. So there's a lot of people going through it, but it's considered as the silent pandemic. Okay, why? Because in order to create a solution, it's not that simple. Simply because the first thing, and this is a global issue, is that there are lack of psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental health professionals. There's just not enough. And those who are qualified end up going into other fields like HR, administrative, simply because there's not a lot of job opportunities. So despite the continuous graduate psychology and counseling graduates, what happens is we're not tapping onto that supply. And they're ending up in other different types of jobs, even though there is that high demand for it, but simply because there's not a lot of job opportunities. So I think what we do with Plus Vibes is that, number one, we digitalize the whole traditional mental health concept to make it first accessible. So when it's on the mobile application, what happens is you can access a mental health professional, and hopefully we plan to globalize this, is that, the dream is to be able to connect to any mental health professional across the globe, whether you prefer someone here in Singapore, in Europe, in the States, so it's a matter of who you feel comfortable talking to, right? And how we started, and I think the main pillar for us is to help those who, the number one, are unable to fork out any amount of financial means to get therapy, and number two, who are afraid to try to reach out for help. I think those are the two barriers. Number one, it's expensive anywhere, especially in Malaysia, where it's 250 ringgit an hour, goes up to 400 ringgit an hour. It's expensive. So I think the first one, when we digitalize it, it's having all those platforms and then lowering the cost. Why? Because you don't have that physical cost, the office, that kind of environment. There are physical costs to having a physical center. So when we digitalize it, that's what we plan to create, increase accessibility. So that's in terms of cost. The second, in terms of stigma, getting people to try. And how we do that is that if you go on the app, you have 10 free tokens to try, to chat. And this refreshes every single month. The reason why is because, of course, that's our CSR initiative. So we have an in-house team of Vibers who are ready to support, who are ready to respond to the chats. And I think that's when we see the reviews and the comments and the feedback from those sessions, you know, it's like, wow, I never knew that talking to someone, even if it's a stranger, would really help me feel better, would really, you know, make me feel, would save a soul. I think one of our comments, I'm picking out one of the comments, is that, you know, you really saved a soul tonight. I really had no one to talk to. That's where we saw the number of suicidal people when they're anonymous, they really come out and share what's on their mind. The age goes as young as 12 years old, having family abuse, having mental abuse, all these kind of things. And we're thinking like, okay, how can we help them? The most we can do is just provide a platform where they can use it for free from our volunteers. But of course, that's where we need to build the volunteer group. But moving forward now, as we gain more traction and have more users, that's where we see, okay, now we want to provide virtual or physical therapy. Concept CSR, but of course, there's always cost to that, but it's minimal cost compared to having a physical center.
Okay, understood. And what campaigns do you have at the moment to kind of get this running? You know, because only certain people would understand or find out or learn about PlusVibes if it wasn't if it wasn't for the press releases being I think you've had a few awards as well, and when I meant by campaigns is how do we reach out to people who, like I said, number one of them is being anonymous, right? Because it is still considered like a stigma publicly, to be honest, because you never hear your cousin going for, like, as a Muslim, you hear a cousin going for therapy. They'll say no, he will just have to talk to the imam or just find the answer in prayer. So when you hear someone saying, oh, he's going for therapy, something happened, or he's going to see a psychiatrist, for an Asian family, even to our extent, I would say to certain thing like in Southeast Asia, I don't think it's an Asian thing, because we're not raised like that, I guess, compared to US and America and Europe. So what are the means you have at the moment, Madiha, to reach out to these people who really need the help, even though they are scared to kind of go out and find themselves caught? And I think this is where maybe Adriana could come in as well, because being someone who I think could be a great advocate for this, could also reach out, because I just read one of the stats, like 7 million Malaysian adults faces anxiety disorder of some sort. That is scary. That is, and this is just, I don't know if it's Gen X or Gen Y. I can't imagine Gen Z. So yeah, please, Madiha, enlighten us again.
So I think the crux of it is that we rely on a lot of contributions from corporate entities. So for example, one that we had previously was sweaters of support. You purchase like a mental health hoodie sweater, you're basically sponsoring a therapy session. So I think we raised quite a lot from there. And that's where we were able to provide support to these suicidal individuals of all ranges. Another one that we do is, we do a lot of these university campaigns, talks, awareness, mental health issues, these kind of things, whereby we create that awareness. And then we create the activity so that it's not so stigmatized. So we gear it towards positive vibes, self-motivation, self-development, self-growth. And that's where they're like, okay, I want to be part of this, right? So it's university campaigns as well. Another one that we do with corporates, I think September and October. September is actually Suicide Prevention Day on the 10th of September. And then October, 10/10 is International World Mental Health Day. So I think during those 2 months, we see a lot of corporate initiatives. And I think this is just about to start this year, whereby you see that corporate social responsibility. It's the ESG focus, whereby people feel that mental health is important. This is the future generation. Let's help the youth. So what we do is that we provide free therapy for those underprivileged communities. We provide, mental health workshops, campaigns, and events, and we get media support. I think we were very lucky in that sense, whereby the media believe in the mission, whereby they want people to try to reach out for help, and because we provide those free tokens, that's where they believe that, yeah, okay, let's get people to try. Let's create the awareness so people try to seek for help, so that we can prevent it from becoming even more worse, right? What do you think, Adriana?
Sorry, because just now when you asked the question, Zikri, I was my mom called, so it was like I
Oh.
heard the question. Sorry.
No, no, it's okay. It's okay. Hello, Adriana's mom. I hope she's fine. Um, just a little shout out there. No, I was just asking, Madiha about, how that, what kind of campaigns does she do to reach out to people who just don't want to, who are scared, And I was trying to link on the power of advocacy, and if this is something that you either already doing, Adriana, or you're planning to do, and if so, what kind of role do you see yourself, after this session? Like,
Mhm.
would you want to, or would you need to do this to kind
Yeah.
of shout this out and help people like Madiha to create this space awareness of it's okay to seek help. If you want to remain anonymous and whatnot, you can. So I just wanted to get your opinion on that, and how would you want to do it?
Yes, of course, definitely. I think I've been doing that for quite some times. I think since pandemic as well, because since pandemic, like people are talking about mental health and stuff. And actually, my sister-in-law is also a psychologist, and she actually suggested Plus Vibes. I asked her, yeah, when I asked her about some of the places that I can go if I want to talk to somebody, or if I just want to let off some steam or need to let it out. And yeah, there are a few, and yes, some places are quite expensive. And she actually suggested if you don't wanna like see them in person, and if you want it to be online, like go to Plus Vibes. So, and some of my friends also asked me whether if they have like marriage problem, or problem with work, or problem with himself or herself. I would definitely ask them to, maybe you should like talk to a therapist. Like I know, like people would say, oh, what a waste, like what can they do, they cannot give you any solutions. But actually it helps. Like even for me, if I like what I do, if I don't want to talk to anybody, because sometimes things are private or it's personal. And what I will do is actually write on my phone, like on the notes, in on the notes. And if let's say I need to see a therapist, then I know like what are the things that triggers me, so that I can like talk it out, because even if you talk to your best friends or your friends, sometimes they would be um how do you say, they can be biased. Yeah, so it's better to speak to anonymous or to therapy, to psychologists, so that it's not biased. And yeah, just for you to let it out. And I really really want people out there to actually talk it out. Like don't compress it into yourself, like don't keep it to yourself, because it will eat you up. And Plus Vibes is one of the good platforms. Thank you so much, Madiha.
We're still growing, but we're trying.
No, 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 no. I mean, steady growth is all that matters. Exactly. This is why this show is called "It Matters," because all the things they do matter in
Yeah.
various degree and various aspect. Um, and thanks
Hashtag
for sharing that. What did you say?
hashtag it
It
matters.
matters,
Yes,
yeah.
please hashtag it matters. Please, for those who are still watching us, there's a donation button to show support for Plus Vibes. to keep going so that they can keep supporting those who are really needing the help. And for someone like Adriana, like I've learned today, like you have been advocating, I guess, in a very subtle way, which a lot of us do face. Even like a lot of people don't even realize they do need a bit of they do need help. And that's a fact that I think a lot of, like, just the stats that you shared, Madiha, is just for Malaysia is already mind blowing, and I can only imagine that this number is only growing, huh? Because I'm not
Yeah.
sure how much of a. I don't even remember having a counselor back in school. Sorry, in the university, because I went to university here. I don't remember if there's a
I think there
counselor role.
was, but
Yeah.
people didn't know about it, and people,
Oh,
it's not something that you would look for or you would go to because, it's just a stigma. People be like, what? Going to a counselor? No, 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 no. But it's
damn.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You're probably right. Yeah, yeah. So the stigma is pretty deep,
Yeah.
huh? It's not just the surface value. Like okay, maybe we did have a counselor, but no one talks about it. I see. That's weird. And I mean, I
So
guess
that's where
back
the
then it wasn't.
anonymity part. The
Yeah.
anonymity part.
Because
Okay.
maybe you're afraid, like if you talk to your counselors or teachers, like maybe somehow in their room they would be talking about it with among their colleagues, among the other
Mm,
or among the other
wow.
people, so you won't feel safe
Safe.
telling
Yeah.
your stories, right? But if you talk to anonymous or like to counselors online, they don't know you. Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, no, it makes sense. Like the trust of safe space. I think I was also like that as well. I didn't see the need of seeing a counselor. Also, I think that's also another problem. Thinking like you don't have a problem with yourself is
Thank
quite.
God, Alhamdulillah. So your mental state is good.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm telling that to myself all the time. I'm sure that the both of you are doing the same thing. Like, yeah. But I don't know. Like, is there any test that we can take, Madiha, just for the sake of people can just, like we can share with people who are watching just to kind of test yourself. Do I really need to talk to a counselor or not? That'll be great. Is
Yes.
there?
I
Okay,
think I
great.
think there are quite a few online. I think the one that I would recommend is DAS 21. It's basically a stress test, so it incorporates a lot of different aspects. But in order to get any type of diagnosis, you have to see a therapist. The reason why is because there is that risk of self-diagnosis. You diagnose yourself as depression, and then you start taking medication on your own account. So that's quite dangerous. So the best is always to go seek a therapist. But if you're unsure, yes, you can do a lot of well-being tests. There are a lot of very simple ones. I think WHO released maybe a 5 question scale for well-being, and it just analyzes you, asks you on a scale of 1 to 5, how's your mental well-being, and you would rate that. And then on a scale of 1 to 5, how's your social or physical and different types of aspects. And then when you total it up, then only you will realize. It's always about having that bird's eye view of how you feel.
Spot on. Definitely. I've never taken a stress test. I've taken a
There's a lot
my.
on the app. So if you want, there's some on the PlusVibes app. You can use it on the modules.
Should have said that. Actually, my fault. I should have downloaded it before starting the session. So I'll do my dues and do so. I'm hoping that there's nothing wrong with me, but I'm sure there's nothing. Okay, cool, great. I think. Oh yeah. Okay. So I think we have come to our end of our session. I've always wanted to have this conversation because I've had this conversation with men. So men have I guess it's more about financial related. When especially the man is a leader of the family and they have to look after their wives and kids. It's a very different understanding. I'm talking about men who are in their 40s, in their early 50s, who were completely ruined, heavily affected during the pandemic, the recovery, and then I get to talk to men in Korea, which is I think very well known place for things that could go bad and on many different circumstances. But I think on a generic phase, I think we're talking from an economic standpoint of and the value for our social economy to keep going is, the fact that we have these preventive measures. For the case of Malaysia, if I can summarize, there are people like Madiha Fuad, who's running one of the leading platforms for preventing mental health, or helping with aiding your mental health. And then you have someone of the stature of Adriana, who's advocating this whole time. And I really believe there's plenty of synergy to keep going and moving forward, and collaborating in many, many ways possible. I think that's the whole point of what we do here. It matters is to ensure that, oh, okay, we have a lot of donation coming in, just so you know, Madiha. So that's good to know. So I'm sure you'll get,
Yay.
Adriana, you should donate also, huh?
Yeah, will do.
Sorry to keep this fun. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I just want to thank the both of you for really shedding some light. A lot of this input of yours and personal experiences does help, not just me, but hopefully all the viewers. And again, I think if we can kill the stigma, I think a lot of people, more of them will come out and reach out and really download and do what's best. Any last few words from you, Adriana, before we go to our wonderful viewers who are watching wherever they are around the world?
Okay, thank you so much, guys, for watching this, and thank you, Incitement, for having me. And I'm so happy that I got to meet Zikri and also Madiha virtually. So I hope everybody's watching would, if you have a problem with your mental health, or if you're having, like, if your mood is not right, you can always get help. Like, if you are not comfortable talking to your friends or your partners, go to PlusVibes, and talk to the therapist. And it's PNC. Madiha already clarified just now. Everything will be deleted. They won't save backups or anything. So it's a safe space for you guys. Instead of renting out on social media, and people would like give all negative comments, or maybe being biased towards you or the other party, it would be great. It would be a better solution to find a safe space, which is Plus Vibes. So yeah.
Yay, the Koreanness. Oh, Madiha, you got someone praising you, saying, "My brain says thank you. Terima kasih for the enlightenment," for the both of you. Actually, it's by
Oh,
Udarmo P. Kunjoro Jakti. I guess he's a Javanese from Java Island. So he says thank you very much. And like I said, like, this is not many talked about. I know everyone was trying to cover this many times post COVID, but I think it's still most important thing to do, to keep aggravating on this. So thank you so much, the both of you. Mariha, any last few words before we adjourn and then enjoy our life again?
I think I just want to say thank you to those who donated. Thank you so much for supporting Plus Vibes. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, Zikri. Thank you, Incitement team, Daniel especially. And I think the last thing that I want to say is that if you ever have anything that's on your mind, if you're feeling stressed or you're not sure about how you feel, talk to someone. It doesn't have to be Plus Vibes. If you need that safe space, yes, go on Plus Vibes, definitely. But just talk to someone. Why? Because leaving it, unattended to, bottling it up. Imagine, always keep in mind that when you're stressed, it's like a Coca-Cola bottle. You shake it left and right. One day it's going to explode, and it's going to explode on someone you don't intend to explode on. It might be your family, your spouse, your sibling, your parents, your friend, who didn't even do anything wrong, but they get that. So always share it. Always be mindful and do grounding things whereby you take a walk. I think taking a walk is the easiest way to be grounded and being mindful, because it really does relax you. It connects you with nature. So always incorporate these mental health activities into your life, and hopefully that will keep you stress free. Thank you so much.
I had to write that your mind's like a Coca-Cola bottle. Pretty, very, very accurate. So I get. I hope all you guys get that last quote. So look after your mind, guys. Is exactly what Madiha was saying. With that, I'd like to say thank you to both of you. Amazing, amazing time to have you both. I look forward to seeing you both in real time and not virtually anymore, because we need to have our social interaction for our mental
True, true.
health. appreciate. But thank you again. And
Uh,
anyway, guys, for those who haven't donated, please donate. And if you need to find out more about Plus Vibes, you can go to www.plusvibes.com and please hashtag it matters. If you haven't followed these two beautiful ladies, please do. I have been playing it all this while with this little layover down here. You can follow my Plus Vibes, Adriana Adnan, and also Madiha Fuad to follow her journey and on doing what she does that matters. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again for the next round. Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 감사합니다.
um,